It was August 6, 2019. This man was on his way to Dulles Airport in Virginia, USA. He had finished a routine visit to the United States and was heading back to Nigeria. At 28 years old, Forbes already included him in its 30 under 30 list of African entrepreneurs. Another list that, in my opinion, is nothing but to make people feel they are not enough at the age of 30 or less. BBC's focus on Africa also said he was an inspiring entrepreneur. He is the founder and CEO of a multinational and one of the 100 most influential Africans, giving keynote speeches and mingling with global leaders. His company invests in oil, gas, construction, and tech, also has investments in real estate, energy, and agriculture. He even had a foundation to help poor children in Nigeria. His company had branches in South Africa, Botswana, Uganda, and Zambia. It was worth $10 million. He was a business icon and a role model of many young Africans. But on this day, this famous entrepreneur got to the airport and got the shock of his life.
Step away from the vehicle.
The FBI was waiting for him. They got an arrest warrant on August 2nd and they planned to arrest him before he left the US. But why is the FBI so eager to arrest him? This is a story of how the FBI unmasked a man so slick he lived a double life. He wore the mask of a celebrated entrepreneur by day and criminal mastermind at night. This man is Obiwani Okeke, popularly known as Invictus Obi.
With Obi, I was pained.
Obinwane Okeke, popularly known as Invictus Obi, was listed among Forbes' 100 most influential young Africans.
You've taken off that image that legitimacy can make money. Because
just one house.
material things are not success.
His man has lectured at the London School of Economics.
Yes. TED
He has done
Talks.
TED Talks
Hey.
and he's been on BBC several times. So this is not just one roadside boy. This is Invictus Obi.
There's a saying, every day for the thief, one day for the owner. On April 1st, 2018, the chief financial officer of Unitrack got an email. It had a login link for his Office 365 account requesting him to take action and log into his account via the link. The email appeared to be from Microsoft. He rushed to enter his login details. Unknown to him, it was a phishing email sent from a spoof website. Just in case you don't know what phishing and spoof websites are, phishing is one of ways fraudsters use in online scam. It involves using a fake email that mimics a legitimate source to trick you. The goal is to get you to click a scam link or provide sensitive information. A spoof website is a fake site that looks like a real site to trick you into sharing sensitive info. Back to the story. Obi and his associates had made a fake Microsoft 365 page to trick potential victims. They usually send these phishing emails, sometimes in bulk, to victims. They wait for everyone to buy it. But on this day, they got lucky with the CFO. As soon as the CFO provided login details, thinking it was legit Microsoft 365 page, they accessed his Microsoft 365 account. Obi and his team started monitoring the account. Between April 6 and 20, they logged in at least 465 times. They monitored every email, getting knowledge about the company's operations from the emails and the CFO's schedule. It was vital for their operation. They used some information they got to create a fake email for Parkfay Trade Limited, mimicking one of Unitrack's suppliers. They also made a fake invoice from previous invoices, templates, and logos they had gotten from their deep dive into the CFO's email account. They sent an invoice to the CFO on 19th April using the Parkfay Trade Limited fake email address to make it believable, since invoices usually come from external email addresses. So, since Obi had access to the CFO's Microsoft account, he forwarded the fake invoices to the finance team so they could pay them. He also used the CFO's account to request fake wire transfers to the finance team. The finance team got their boss's email and didn't bother to verify it. After all, as far as they know, the boss authorized them to make the payments. They made all the payments without a clue. Here's why monitoring CFO's online activity was important. Obi, being slick in his dealings, deleted or hid all the emails he had sent authorizing payments. So when the CFO logs in, he would see no trace of the payment. He had also created email filter rules on the CFO's accounts between April 10th and 17th. He and his gang had intercepted, marked as read, and moved emails about the scam to folders outside the inbox. He did this to track and hide responses to the fake invoices. If he had stopped there, he might have gotten paid and ridden off into the sunset. But he didn't stop at using the CFO's account to make fraudulent requests. He took it another step further, and his next move would lead to his satisfying downfall. The upside of greed in humans is that he had to milk these assets for as big as a payday as possible. So he searched the CFO's OneDrive for info to defraud the company. He downloaded one of these files and sent a copy to an external email address. Between April 11th and 19th, the company made 15 payments in total to Obi's overseas accounts. The total was about $11 million. As far as Unitrack knows, Park Faith Trade Limited received some payments, one for $278,270.66, another for $898,461.17, and also $1,957,100. By the time Unitrack found out about the fraud, it was too late. They were only able to recover very little of the transferred funds. By June 2018, the FBI got a fraud report from a Unitrack Holding Limited. They found out it's the UK unit of Caterpillar, the company which sells heavy equipment. The report said that Unitrack lost $11 million to email fraud. The FBI reviewed the report, and by July 2018, they began an investigation. Remember the file he sent from the CFO's OneDrive to an external email. This move, for better or worse, gave the FBI a vital lead to track Obi down. In Nigeria, we will say his village people finally got him. Here is how. When the FBI began an investigation, they examined the CFO's Microsoft 365 account. They found that someone had sent a file from the CFO's OneDrive to the email iconoclast1960@gmail.com. They just had to use Nigeria's year of independence. They ran whois queries for iconoclast1960@gmail.com. They found that someone used the email to register some fake phishing websites. Whois is a query response protocol. It queries databases of registered users of a web resource. This includes a domain name, an IP address block, or an autonomous system. Well, just in case you don't know. This rogue email also registered emmalinindustries.com. emmalinindustries.com was a spoof site. It was a misspelled version of emmaindustries.com. It used an L instead of an I because the lowercase letter L looks like the uppercase letter I. Open source queries showed emmaindustries.com is likely the real domain for ASM International Trading in Dubai. It's a global financial firm. It might have done business with Unitrack. With this lead, the FBI got a search warrant and compelled Google to provide info on iconoclast1960@gmail.com. Now you know, if you believe that your dirty dealings are for your eyes only, so long as your password is safe, you are joking. Keep watching, we will soon get to why there is no hiding place on the internet. The info obtained from Google detailed the fraud done with the account. It included chats with co-conspirators. This is a chat between iconoclast1960@gmail.com and a co-conspirator. They were discussing making fake web pages to steal users' emails and passwords. They aimed to design the pages so that they appeared authentic and functioned correctly. You can see iconoclast1960@gmail.com telling someone that the spoof website has many errors. He said, "You used exactly the same terms and codes for your old pages. These have been marked online and the page dies easily." The FBI found over 600 email passwords and copies of passports and driver's licenses on some chats and spoof sites. I'm sure they must have stolen them for identity theft scams. Most victims were from Virginia's Eastern District. They also found detailed messages about wire transfers from Unitrack, dated April 2018. Some messages from January 2018 showed iconoclast1960@gmail.com had defrauded Red Wing Shoes of $108,470.55. Red Wing confirmed to the FBI that they were victims of the fraud. It was a wire transfer that occurred around that same time. The IP addresses were also traced to Nigeria. Now, this is where it began to get slippery very fast. The records that Google returned from the search warrant included a recovery email address, alibabaobi@gmail.com, and several linked accounts by session cookies. Yes, Google cookies register all Google accounts accessed on a particular device using the same web browser, indicating that they were most likely used by the same person. One of these linked accounts was obi1name@gmail.com. The FBI searched the web for obi1name@gmail.com. It found a user named Invictus Obi on nairaland.com, a Nigerian forum. The site connects Nigerians at home and abroad through discussions on various topics. There was also an X handle, Invictus Obi, linked to the Nairaland profile page, and on searching X, which was Twitter back then, the FBI discovered that Twitter handle belongs to, you guessed right, Obinwane Okeke, popularly known as Invictus Obi, a celebrated serial entrepreneur from Abuja, Nigeria. That's not all. The Twitter account was also connected to Invictus Group and an Instagram account at Invictus Obi, which both belong to him. It would have been nice to show you the exact posts and juicy details in this video, but the accounts have been taken down by you know who. So, the Twitter account had little activity. In contrast, Obi was a frequent user of Instagram. He posted his achievements, his travels, businesses, awards, and talks to envy or admiration of many. Even Forbes and BBC fell for it, or maybe they just didn't do enough due diligence on his story and rather went with the social media frenzy. These findings proved he was the mastermind of Unitrack fraud. But the FBI wasn't satisfied. They needed a more damning smoking gun, another crack on the mask to finally break it open. They began to watch all their accounts with great attention. On 3 occasions, an unknown user logged into the account, iconoclast1960@gmail.com, from the Seychelles, London, and Washington, D.C. The FBI found this in Google's IP logs that monitored the account. Obi's Instagram photos showed him in those exact countries at the same time. Let's explain this further. On March 31, 2018, Obi posted on Instagram claiming he was in Seychelles. On the same day, Google's logs showed a login to iconoclast1960@gmail.com from Seychelles. On April 20, 2018, in another post, Obi claimed he was in England. Google's logs aligned again as an entry showed a login to iconoclast1960@gmail.com account from London on same day. Obi also posted on Instagram during a US visit. He claimed to be in Washington, D.C. from June 25 to 27, 2018. On June 26, 2018, Google reported a login to iconoclast1960@gmail.com from Washington, D.C. By now, you will say the FBI should have gotten enough evidence that they needed. But now, they still wanted to ensure the coffin with which they want to bury him is watertight. They searched the email of iconoclast1960@gmail.com for Invictus Obi to confirm his identity. They found 2 matching emails. On March 1, 2018, iconoclast1960@gmail.com sent the first email to Invictus Obi at icloud.com. It contained an attached picture of a white bathtub next to wooden doors with glass panes. Like icing on a cake, the FBI found the same picture on Obi's Instagram. It was posted on March 1, 2018. The second email, dated March 4, 2018, was also sent from iconoclast1960@gmail.com to Invictus Obi at icloud.com. The message was a forwarded message from February 27, 2016. Email from iconoclast.com to alibabaobi@gmail.com. The attached document contained credit card details and a picture of a Spanish identification card. One can assume that the personal and credit card details were probably stolen and used fraudulently. With this, the FBI was able to confirm that Obi was behind the $11 million Unitrack fraud. The 13-month investigation ended as they waited for his next visit to the US. The FBI filed a complaint and affidavit against Obi in the US District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia, Norfolk Division. On August 2, 2019, while Obi was in the US, the FBI got an arrest warrant for him. They wanted to arrest him before he left the country and potentially become unreachable. On August 6, 2019, the FBI arrested Obi at Dulles Airport in Virginia. They were waiting for him before he could board his flight to Nigeria.
Step away from the vehicle.
A court in Virginia's Eastern District held Obi on 2 charges: conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit computer fraud. He pleaded not guilty at first and denied involvement in the crimes. Authorities then remanded him in prison until February 2020. In June 2020, he had another day in court. There he made a plea agreement and pleaded guilty to the count 1 of the indictment, that is, conspiracy to commit wire fraud. In his plea agreement, he waived his rights to appeal and agreed to give up all interest in any fraud-related assets. He was also able to secure the withdrawal of the second charge, which carried a lesser sentence and fines. Obi was finally sentenced to 10 years in prison. The same man who had once inspired millions now served as a cautionary tale. Some days after Obi's arrest, 80 Nigerians were arrested with similar charges for what prosecutors called
the largest online fraud scheme in the country that had worldwide implications.
with 252 charges. This news led to rumors that Obi had ratted out his crime ring. One will wonder, did Obi rat for a plea deal? In Yoruba, there is a saying that literally translates as, "The witch cried yesterday and the child died today. Who doesn't know the witch killed the child?" But I guess we'll never know if he did or not. Also, unlike the organized crime of the West, where ratting is a grave offense, I am not sure Nigeria's crime industry got that memo. But of course, from the indictments, as you would expect, there was no source connecting the arrests to Obi. The indictment showed that the investigation was a separate one. It spanned over 3 years, even before Obi stole from Unitrack and before the FBI began their probe into Obi. But it will remain a mystery if some of the 80 Nigerians arrested were Obi's co-conspirators. This is true, as the FBI affidavit of Obi's arrest had identified some online accounts of some co-conspirators. During the trial, the Federal High Court of Lagos in Nigeria ordered
the temporary forfeiture of 2 houses and 2 cars traced to the convicted cyber criminal Obiwanle George Okeke, also known as Invictus Obi. According to the EFCC, the properties will be used to restitute foreign victims of Invictus Obi's fraud.
Obiwanle Okeke is scheduled for release in September 2028. Obiwanle Okeke's story is a wake-up call that all that shines isn't gold. Be cautious about who you envy on these internet streets. You will never truly know anyone for real. And don't steal your joy by comparing yourself to people who are shouting God when. Until next time, stay inspired and stay true. Cheers, guys.